Hello and welcome to COPme, your health on your hands. We are the COPme 4. Now, throughout history, whenever a group of 4 brilliant people have come together, great things can be accomplished. We saw this with the Beatles, and perhaps most importantly, with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But today, the 4 of us come together to provide an amazing business plan. I'm Kavya Chaturvedi. I'm the CEO and Chief Marketing Officer.
I'm Arya Taylor. I'm the COO and Chief Compliance Officer.
I'm Shalini Lakshmanan, and I'm the CTO.
I'm Adarsh Rachmale, and I'm the CFO.
So, it turns out that the police were onto something with their hit 1980s song, Every Breath You Take, I'll Be Watching You. Because for millions, this is a sad reality. The problem is called COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and encompasses both emphysema and chronic bronchitis. In 90% of cases, COPD is caused by smoking, making it a preventable disease, yet incurable and irreversible, and it can only be managed by its patients. Let's look at this diagram to see what happens inside the lungs of a COPD patient. First, because of smoking, the air passages become inflamed in the bronchioles, and this leads to decrease of airflow and the patient finding it harder to breathe. But also, the alveoli collapse, and this leads to decreased gas exchange. All of this leads to high CO2 levels in the blood and low oxygen levels. And if there is a rapid buildup of CO2, then this can lead to a COPD exacerbation, which is very dangerous because it can cause complete organ dysfunction and respiratory failure. This can lead to the patient becoming unconscious or even death. So, why should we care about COPD? First, it has significant prevalence. In the world, there are 360 million people affected by COPD. COPD also has high mortality rates, as it is the 3rd leading cause of death in the US. It also affects a compromised quality of life. It is the 2nd leading cause of disability. And COPD, because it leads to high carbon dioxide, affects many other organs and causes many other diseases. There are also significant economic considerations as well. $437 billion are spent on a worldwide basis for treatment. And there are legislative pressures. In 2008, as part of the Affordable Care Act, Medicare withholds 1% of all reimbursements to a hospital. And COPD is the 2nd leading cause of readmissions, which means it provides high cost for the hospitals and its physicians. And lastly, the market demands patient self-monitoring. This is a huge industry, estimated at $23 billion. Now, unfortunately, COPD is very personal to our team. My great-uncle recently passed away from the disease, and Shalini's aunt was recently hospitalized. Let's look at this flowchart to see what happens in the management of the disease. First, my great-uncle started to feel an exacerbation onset, and in most cases, this is too late from the monitoring standpoint. So he called his doctor and was sent to the ER. When he wasn't feeling better, there was a battery of tests performed on him, which were very painful. And all this led to high cost and poor quality of life, which ultimately cost him his life. Now, what is the problem? The problem is the poor management gap for patients and poor patient monitoring. And this is where we come in. With our solution, the COPme wristband. This is a highly integrated, non-invasive, continuously monitoring solution. In COPme 1, we plan to offer real-time monitoring of vitals, monitor their medicine compliance, and send all of this data to a HIPAA-compliant cloud that can be accessed by both the doctor and the patient. This will all lead to better disease management, lower costs, and lower hospitalizations. I would now like to pass it over to Shalini, our Chief Technology Officer, to talk more about our product.
Thank you, Kavya. Our solution is a highly integrated wristband that has a blood carbon dioxide monitor, a blood oxygen monitor, a pulse monitor, and a patient compliance monitor. All the data collected will be sent wirelessly to a cloud that both the patient and the physician can access. In COPme 2.0, we will add the ability to dispense medication. Now I'm going to talk about our main differentiating functionalities and their underlying technologies. Our major differentiator is the ability to measure blood carbon dioxide levels non-invasively. Currently, the most common way to measure blood carbon dioxide levels is through an arterial blood gas test, but this requires blood to be drawn, so it's painful, and it can only be done in a hospital or a clinical setting. Another way to measure carbon dioxide is through a capnography monitor, but this requires the patient to breathe out into the monitor, which then records how much carbon dioxide there is in the patient's exhalation. But this doesn't tell you about how much carbon dioxide there is in the patient's blood. It's at most a proxy to know this value, which is extremely important to know for a COPD patient. We are in discussions with Professor Wang from the University of Washington to license his technology using embedded sensors in wearable materials to monitor blood carbon dioxide levels non-invasively. COPme also comes with an oximeter and a pulse monitor. Currently, there are pulse oximeters on the market, but these have a finger attachment, and a patient is not going to go walking around 24/7 with something stuck to the end of their finger. So we are in discussions with Professor Mendelsohn from Worcester Polytechnic to license his technology using LED sensors that measures blood oxygen levels and pulse at the wrist instead of the finger. COPme also comes with a patient compliance monitor in the form of a counter that the patient would put on their inhaler. This records how many times the patient uses their inhaler, and that data would be transmitted wirelessly to the wristband, and all the data collected would be transmitted to the cloud. So COPme is on all the time, and it's monitoring all the time. In COPme 2.0, we will add the revolutionary idea of dispensing medication. This would be mainly for COPD patients with a more severe case of COPD, so we would dispense corticosteroids or oxygen through a transdermal patch developed by 3M. Now I'm going to pass it over to Arya, who will talk about regulatory pathways.
Thank you, Shalini. We have a robust IP portfolio. In order to create value for our stakeholders, we intend to show our commitment to quality and protect our IP. Because this is a medical device, we will have to go through the fun and friendly FDA. After extensive research, we have found that this is a Class 2 device as it is not life-threatening but still poses some potential risk. Also, after talking to several experts, we've concluded that this will be an over-the-counter device. Intellectual property is of extremely high importance to us as it will add immense value to our company, as well as give us the utmost protection. We will be applying for a design patent to protect the ergonomic yet elegant appearance of our product. We will also be filing for a utility patent on the integration of the technologies that Shalini mentioned earlier. As we intend to expand our markets internationally, we will be filing under the Patent Cooperation Treaty as well. In order to create brand value for our company, we will be applying for a service mark and a trademark. And lastly, to make it easier for end consumer use, we will be proactively reaching out to payers to find reimbursement codes for our product. A lot of time has gone into planning our product rollout. We have estimated it will take around 15 months for our company to be fully operational and successfully launch our product into the market. We will begin with a market study to confirm our preliminary findings. Then we will carefully design and prototype our product. Then we will partner with select HMOs to test and validate our product. We will also be gaining strong endorsements from thought leaders, which we are already in the process of doing. And then the manufacturing phase will follow. In order to optimize our costs, we will be procuring the parts for our product from global locations. Then we will design, manufacture, package, and test our product with one of the 2 medical device manufacturing companies that we are already negotiating with, after talking to 16 different certified medical device manufacturers. These companies are CJPS Medical Systems and Miller Technical Services. And now, I would like to call upon Kavya again to talk more about our marketing strategy.
Our addressable market are COPD patients, of which there are 360 million worldwide. But we also plan to expand into secondary markets because we think that our technology would fit other diseases perfectly as well. Our target consumers are insurance companies, hospitals and physicians, and retail consumers. For our go-to-market strategy, we have staggered out our geographic rollout. We will start with the US, as this is our home base, and then move to Canada and most of Western Europe, because after getting the FDA approval at home, we think that the CE mark required to sell here will be easy to procure. Also, these countries have a high per capita income, as well as the countries in the Middle East that we will target next. And then we will tackle India and China due to their high COPD population. We plan to partner with hospitals and GPOs to sell directly to the hospital, and with many durable medical equipment companies and many pharmacies to sell directly to the consumer. Our marketing strategy includes getting endorsements by thought leaders, which we've already started to reach out to and contact. Our advertising strategy includes third-party magazines, attending conference and trade shows, and building a strong online presence. And for selling, we will be partnering with GPOs and others. I would now like to turn it over to others to talk about our financials.
So, what makes COPme different? We'd like to compare COPme to several wellness products currently on the market. And although these products aren't in our direct market, we thought it was vital to compare our product to theirs. As you can see, COPme is only $60 more than its competitors, but it provides life-saving functionalities. This shows that most any COPD patient should be able to afford our product. Now we compare COPme to its direct market of medical devices. As you can see, it comes out on top once again. Our product is the only product that offers reasonable functionalities in a reasonable price range. Our only close competitor is oxytone, but it lacks the vital CO2 monitoring capabilities. The only other product with CO2 monitoring capabilities costs an astronomical $1,600 and is meant for a hospital setting. You've seen our amazing product. Now it's time to show its potential success in numbers. This graph shows our staggered market penetration over the next 6 years, and this grid shows our potential addressable market over the next 6 years. By the end of our 6th year, we plan to have an addressable market of 223 million consumers. We're very conservative in our calculations. In our 2nd year, we plan to have a market capture of 0.05% and 8,000 bands sold. And although this may seem small, we quickly ramp that up to 10% in that particular market by the end of our 6th year. By the end of our 6th year, we also plan to have a 1% global market capture, as well as a consumer base of over 2 million users. Here at COPme, we have 2 sources of revenue: the actual sale of our product and the $99 HIPAA-compliant data subscription fee. We plan to manufacture our product for $99 and sell this for $250, offering a 25% commission to any distributors. We'll also have the $99 HIPAA-compliant data subscription fee, which is very important to our business plan because it provides us with a captive consumer base. And it also provides us with 30% of our overall revenue by the end of our 6th year. As you can see, we have a $3 million revenue in our 2nd year, but we have an overall net loss. We were again conservative. By the end of our 6th year, we plan to have a $900 million revenue, a profit margin of 18%, and a potential profit of $160 million. Ultimately, we're here to try and gain startup capital. We're asking for $7.1 million total, $3 million over the 1st year and $4 million over the next 2 years. This money would be distributed in these ways. As you can note, we have a sizable marketing budget, allowing us to increase consumer mindshare. All great ideas have risks, but we have found ways to easily assess and mitigate these risks. To ensure the quality of our product, we'll spend lots of time and money in partnering with reasonable and reputable design and manufacturing firms. By improving the overall quality of lives of our consumers, we will provide them with a great return on investment and lifestyle. We will acquire exclusive rights to patents and technologies. And our board of advisors is filled with many experienced medical device entrepreneurs and physicians.
So once again, why should you invest in COPme? Because we are serving a significant need with a groundbreaking technology and an executable go-to-business market plan and go-to-market business plan. And we know your investment won't leave you breathless. Thank you. And we are now open for questions.
Uh, you captured the market very well, okay? Because this is one of the biggest problems going on. Do you realize you are going to compete with probably the hottest market in entire medical device industry? You have any idea?
Yes.
Okay, just to give you a little perspective, Samsung Electronics is investing $1 billion in making its own version of the strap. And I'd encourage you to go and do some reading on top of that. Apple itself, apart from its first device which is coming out, has a generation of devices that's going to come out which is going to capture this. Your Wi-Fi enabler, which talks about whether you've taken the whole medication adherence, is already way out, way progress piece of work. My point to you guys is, great market. However, have you thought about how you're going to really make this technology work? Have you thought about the kind of work, the kind of investment, the kind of people? This is not just about cloud. Cloud is the easiest piece to figure out in this space. It's the algorithm. It's the motion sensor, because each time you're moving, that there's a reason why CO2 in a hospital is being done in a hospital setting because of that whole motion. And I'm pretty sure there are good scientists out there who's got some good research. But I couldn't see in your financials or in your development, which talks about, look, we've got a good cycle of scientists, we've got a good cycle of people, we have a development cycle, which takes care of how we're going to work on those algorithms.
Okay, so we'll be spending the first year and a half of our business working on this, exactly how to get our product to market. And we already have talked to our manufacturers, and he has years of experience, and he started the Baxter Medical Systems. And so we feel confident that with our advisors we can do this, but also some of the competitors that you mentioned, like Apple and their iWatch series, we took note of them, but they're not our direct competitors because we're serving a very niche market of COPD patients, so we feel pretty confident in that.
So actually, I have a simple question. I missed the introduction. Where are you from?
We're from Detroit.
Okay. If you we'll hear about your elevator pitch tomorrow, right?
Yep.
How much money are you raising?
How much money are we asking from investors? Yeah, 7.1 million.
Right. That's a lot of money.
Yes. I mean, we feel that's doable, especially because medical devices usually need higher than normal investments. So, yeah.
Yes, we do realize that it is ambitious, but we feel that it is scalable and it will be profitable for any investor.
Your product is really timely, and I was at Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. There is a whole floor of device manufacturers exhibiting there. So the interest is so high, but the amount of investment you are looking for, 7.1 million versus $1 billion, my friend has said, makes me nervous in terms of is it achievable the way you wanted to see.
Well, okay. Do you want to? Okay. So as I mentioned, we talked to our manufacturer, and he said specifically, he gave us those numbers, and he said these are the numbers that I can do it for you. And he's had years of experience, so he knows that what the market needs. So he said this is what I can do for you, and this is the rate that I can do it with, and this is what it usually takes for me to do it for you.
Yeah. Again,
just to zoom into the point that Rajiv was making earlier, in terms of the trials and testing. I mean, I like the non-invasive part of what you're saying. So if you can tell CO2 without putting a needle in somebody, I mean, that's fantastic. So how much testing has been done to see that this really works in all the different circumstances? People are going to want to know exactly how much has happened there to be sure that this thing's going to work.
So all the technology that we talked about has been calibrated against what is considered the ideal product on the market. So especially the oximeter, pulse oximeter, has been calibrated against a finger oximeter and one that goes on the chest. Does that answer your question?
Well, like how many years of testing have you done?
Oh, well, once we start production, we will start our testing with real patients. So that's why we need funding, so we can start production.
So, I mean, you guys keep coming back to we've spoken to the manufacturer. Manufacturing cost in this is probably 15% of your entire COGS, cost of goods. Manufacturing cost will be, if at all, 15%. The most cost is your IP, your algorithms, and the way the sensors work with each other, and that entire spend that Tariq was talking about on getting those trials. So I would encourage you guys to really go back and dig deep. And by the way, if this is a brand new product, this is not a 3-month FDA story. A brand new 3-month FDA is only for a 510K. So you got to have someone on your team who understands FDA very, very well.
Yeah.
All right, 3 months is absolutely not possible if it's a brand new device. All right, so A, get someone who knows the FDA very well, or get an advisor on board, and B, make sure you put that kind of time. You are entering a very, very competitive space. Again, I'm just, because I follow this space extremely well. So please, be a little careful.
So, if we may, the capnograph that's priced at $16,000, we checked the filings online. They posted all their FDA information. That filing took 3 months as well. And then the oxytone, they didn't even go for FDA at all because they just said, we're a consumer product. We don't need to go to the FDA. So that's why.
It did, because there is already a product which is available. You're just filing a 510K. So if there is already a technology available, then you can file. It's a 3-month 510K, but it's a brand new technology. You have to prove the efficacy of the technology. It's a much longer process.
And also you mentioned that we should get someone who is very experienced in FDA, and we have allotted $30,000 upfront for our lawyer who will help us, and we increased that to $50,000 in the continuing years. So we have allotted some money for that, and we've also allotted $500,000 upfront for our exclusivity rights.
And again, with the $99 manufacturing fee, or the manufacturing costs you were speaking of earlier, we comprehensively spent a lot of time going through this with the founder of CJPS Medical Systems, who's one of our advisors. So he advised us a lot on the cost, so we feel as though it's relatively accurate.
And again, we're taking 1% of all of our revenue into slush fund. So if there is a problem, like you say, it's a very competitive space, we know that, and we've made sure when we planned for that. But if there is to be more money needed, then we have allotted for that as well.
Coming back to this question about the FDA approval, was that 3 months primarily covering the 1.0, the one that does not dispense medicine?
Yes.
Okay, so what about the one that does dispense medicine?
That will require more clinical trials because it dispenses medicine. So we are unsure as to how long the FDA approval will take, but we assume that it will be longer than 3 months because of the trial process.
Okay. One of your foils there covered the fact that you are acquiring some of these technologies from existing universities and so on. So is your IP here primarily one of integration?
Yes.
You had a nice slide with a lot of different companies, lots of logos and so forth. And I think it's great that you're linking into these companies. So how are you using these relationships which you'll be developing? What's the prime driver for all of those links?
Okay, so we will be negotiating with our manufacturers when we are contracting all our negotiations to them, but we will also play a primary role because we know what's best for our company, and we want to work with them instead of like selling out our business too soon.
I don't think this was a slide, it was
Oh,
another.
okay.
Yeah, this one.
This one? Okay.
Yeah, this. Yep.
All right, look, it's time. We're good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.